afternoon and welcome to St Benedict's College Sport. Continuing with the interviews that I've been doing with various members of staff, today we're lucky enough to have Mr. Andrew Barnes, who's a new addition to the team, and Mr. Barnes is going to talk us through where he's come from and what he's doing with us and where he's going. So welcome, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Lincoln.
Great to have you on the team. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background as to where you've come to St Benedict's from and why are you at St Benedict's?
Okay, so before I came to St Benedict's, I started in January this year. I was the Director of Sport at Tiger Valley College, and I approached St Benedict's at the end of last year and wanted to fit into an environment where I'm more accustomed to. Having gone to an all-boys school, this is an environment that I grew up in where I feel I could add a lot of value, and I wanted to be a part of this team. Having seen a lot of results and the type of schools you guys play against, I thought this is a place where I would like to be and hopefully make a positive contribution. So I made everything work out and took a step back from being a director to more listening to somebody else and having to make less decisions, but doing more coaching, spending more time outside with the boys, which is where I want to be, where I love being, making a difference.
Fantastic. Your experience to date has been a positive one up until we were hit by a pandemic.
Yes, I had a very good positive start to St Benedict's. Helped out with the cricket department under Mark Rugby, the director of cricket. Took down the 15A cricket team. Very good team, nice bunch of boys, and I think also blessed in a sense that is the first team that I worked with at St Benedict's, and I got such a nice introduction with such a nice bunch of boys, and the amount of cricket that we played, having able to get a full season, the calibre of cricket, the facilities, the ground staff, even the catering, absolutely everything at St Benedict's was top notch and made me feel welcome as a coach. It was an easy team to coach because obviously a talented bunch and hard-working boys, and worked well in the pre-season with the rugby. Unfortunately, our season was cut short, but managed to get one warm-up fixture in and one fixture. So I really at least did get a taste of Bennies rugby, and very lucky that it was a home game. So I got a taste of the stands full of the boys and everyone cheering, parents and staff up at the top. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience. So.
Right, so you mentioned having gone to an all-boys school at which you participated to the max.
Yeah.
Want to tell us a bit about your playing days prior to then getting a little older and then joining the teaching fraternity?
Yeah, so obviously being a Glenwood all-boy, we're very strong sporting school, same as St Benedict's, and from a young age you're drilled, you need to perform, you need to play, you need to participate. So I learned from a young age, I really loved sport, growing up before I even went to Glenwood. Did everything that I could at Glenwood, what the time allowed. Obviously rugby and cricket were my two strengths, and after school I went to go play rugby in England for a year, and then came back and tried to make it happen. Yeah, unfortunately due to some injuries and stuff, my career was cut short a bit. Turned my focus more towards the coaching, felt I still wanted to be part of the sport. I really have a deep passion for rugby and all sports in general, and followed that pursuit, that career, and done everything to equip myself to try and be the best coach that I possibly can be for now. Obviously want to keep growing and developing, which is why I'm at St Benedict's, because what better place for a young coach to develop, and that's why I'm here. And yeah.
So it turns out that besides the cricket and the rugby, there is also a heavy focus and a great passion in the athletics side. Can you tell us a bit about your background as an athlete and then leading into what you might be able to help St Benedict's athletics with in the years hence?
Yeah, so yes, obviously I've been competing overseas for the last decade, and being an international athlete running in the 400 meter event, I've been fortunate that I've been able to travel to plenty of countries, met very nice athletes, great athletes, good coaches, learned a lot of things that I don't think I would have learned at home necessarily in South Africa, and I think it's broadened my knowledge and how I approach speed in general, not necessarily speed as an athlete, but speed in general. The focus at the moment is for Tokyo 2021, obviously with the Olympics being shifted, and I've based my training here at St Benedict's, so my conditioning is being done in the gym at St Benedict's. Such a world-class facility, I don't need to go anywhere else, I can do all my training here. Obviously having Geraldine Pillay, a former Olympian, sitting 2 meters away from me helps a lot with my training as well, and she's obviously very motivating. So doing a lot of sessions at St Benedict's, so I look forward to the coming months, and hopefully everything will work out, and next year I'll be standing here an Olympian. I think where the athletics has changed my focus, especially with sports like rugby and obviously hockey being another one, is the emphasis of speed. So when I was at school, we did a lot of focus on skills and fitness-based stuff, strength, how you play the game, but there's no a big focus on speed. And I think had I had someone put that into me at that age, I could have been a very different player growing up. Even at school I could have been very different, particularly if I developed in grade 8 and grade 9. When I became a senior player, grade 10, 11 and 12, I think I could have taken my rugby to another level. So it has changed my approach to how I coach. In the preseason, we like to do a lot of speed, a lot of agility, functional strength, functional speed, being able to move quickly. It doesn't help you weigh 120 kgs, but you can only move for 5 meters and then you pass out. So I'd rather have someone weighing 100, but being able to move that weight for 70 minutes in a schoolboy match. So it has changed my focus, and I think it will continue to do so, and I think it will be something that sets myself and Bennies sports, the sport that I'm involved in, apart from other schools because of the expertise I'll be able to deliver them.
Yeah, Mr. Barnes, we're just as excited about having all of those expertise at our fingertips, so to speak. So there's a lot that we'll be calling on you to help our coaches, let alone our boys. But what has your experience been like with the coaching team that you've joined at St Benedict?
I've had a great experience so far being in the sports office. I think I've succumbed to a bit of first-year initiation, which I think is still carrying on, but that's all fun and games, and I think that's part of the environment and helping everyone grow together and working in our relationship together. My mentor at school is Mark Saunders, who's been given to me to look after me, and he's been such a great help and he's helped me to establish everything I need to at school, from running my computer to actually getting out onto the field at the right time, on the right field, dressed in the right kit. And then working for Mark Rugby in the cricket department was also such a blessing, and a very easy guy to work with, knows his knowledge, knows cricket, has a big passion for the sport. When we went on tour to Clifton, everything is organised so well, there's nothing wrong with anything, and the boys had a great time, I had a great time. Obviously yourself, Mr. Lincoln, taking a lot of guidance from you. Coming from a director of sport, there's a lot of things that I can pick up where, had I been in this position, I could have done something differently, or some things I did right, some things I did wrong, and obviously I'm still a young man, turning 32, but I move like I'm 21, but there's still a lot for me to learn, and really enjoying it. Having Geraldine, like I mentioned previously, brings a nice dynamic. She's sort of a mother in the sports office, and I think she plays that role to a lot of boys as well. Yes. It's nice having 5 or 6 males that are nice and hard on the boys, but then there is a bit of a mother figure as well to approach things differently. The gym staff, the conditioning staff, really enjoy them as well. I think we're so blessed to have that facility, but also the manpower that we have, and I think I can't speak highly enough of St Benedict and the sports department, and I really appreciate that it's quite young as well, so we're all relatively in terms of our lives and getting along very well. Obviously we have got the one old man, but everything else is going well. Yeah.
All right, so you've touched on the potential that we as a school have. As we find ourselves now in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, we would have come to the end of our rugby season, but going into the athletics. But for the Bennies boy at home, what should he be working on now, knowing that there will be an end to this no sport situation we find ourselves in? What could the average St Benedict boy be doing, as well as the elite St Benedict sportsman? What could he be doing at this time? What would your advice be to them?
So I think first and foremost would be to understand that this is the time that we are in, and we are all in this. There's no one that's not part of this at the moment, globally. And to prepare for when, like you've mentioned, when it does eventually come to an end and things can resume as normal, is to be ready for that day to come. So same as myself, I'm training at the moment, but it's not the normal training that I would be doing due to the circumstances. But I need to prepare myself in conditioning, in fitness, in my nutrition, my sleep, my mental, my psychology, absolutely everything, so that when we do eventually get cleared to go back to normal, that I'm able to go to normal. I can't then only want to get ready to train, because then I'm going to lose even more time. So I would suggest that they draw up their goals, their plans, their training schedules, what it is that they want to achieve. They'd have to rechange some of those goals. For example, if I was a grade 10 boy, I can't now set my goals for next year for this year's goals. So I have to adjust everything to what I want to do. For example, I wanted to go to Olympics this year. That obviously hasn't happened, so I've had to change things for 2021. I'm a year older, I'm taking a year longer to recover, everything is taking more time, so you need to plan for these things. So I would suggest pen to paper. It's nice just thinking things in your head, but then you forget them tomorrow. So you need to actually write things down, goals, small goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, try and achieve those things to get ready for when we are allowed to go back to sport.
The brief touch that you had with rugby season, what would you say about the athlete that you've worked with on the rugby field in terms of the potential that we do have at our disposal as St Benedict sports staff?
I think we're very blessed with talent. I'd obviously like to see more boys joining rugby and playing rugby, or at least trying it. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. I am sad by the fact that the team this year couldn't play more matches. I think the first team was set up to be absolutely phenomenal this year, being such a strong side, so many matrix as well. Fortunately, I work with the 16As this year, and I know the talent that's coming through to the senior ranks next year, and I stand here with full confidence that I know that if those boys put the hard work in, and we as coaches take them the journey, take them on the road, we will have a successful senior team next year. Looking at the results from those limited fixtures that we had, under 14, under 15, those are strong boys that are coming through. I think, if I remember correctly, we had won all our fixtures on that day, so from under 14 up to first team, so it does show that there's good continuity in the sport. I've seen some good rugby players in the prep as well, watched quite a few of their training sessions. Luckily I can just sit outside the office and watch the boys train, so I've seen the talent and the calibre of boy that's coming through, so I do think that the rugby at St Benedict is going to be strong for the next few years.
Alright, and in closing, Mr. Barnes, you haven't had a long history with St Benedict's, obviously you've said as much, but to the boy who's thinking about joining St Benedict's, knowing that he's coming here with a focus on academics, yes, but that we have a strong emphasis on our sport, what would you say to that young budding boy potentially considering joining St Benedict's in the years to come?
I would say get your application form in as soon as possible. I think that's going to set St Benedict's apart from other schools is, regardless of whether you are playing in an A team or a B team or a C team, I think the coaching that you're going to receive will still be of an A team standard. Having seen some of the coaches that I've worked with this year, the type of coach that we have here, and who's very passionate and knowledgeable, goes through from senior all the way down to the bottom, and that's not sport specific, that's in all the sports. I've seen it with the hockey coaches, the water polo, rugby, rowing, absolutely everything. So even if you are not a person who wants to be a provincial rugby player one day, or Springbok, or play hockey for South Africa, you want to be a B team player throughout because you just want to participate in sport, I still think the coaching and nurturing that you're going to get is going to be world class. Obviously the academics, as you mentioned, is of top quality. I was not a top academic, I was a sportsman, so I fit in nicely at St Benedict's. But if you're looking for all boys school, traditional, strong focus, good morals, where your boy is going to be pushed and you as a child are going to be challenged in different spheres, this is definitely a school to consider.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all that input, and in anticipation of the input that you're still going to give to St Benedict's in the years hence. But of course we wish you well with your preparation for the Olympic Games, Mr. Barnes. That's very exciting for us to even have a potential Olympian on our staff again, and all that we can learn from you. But we wish you well, and we welcome you to St Benedict's officially.
Thank you, Mr. Linger. Thank you.